That was me, except I wasn't dreaming and the nightmare belonged to someone else. The night didn't scream. It hummed like something big just snapped shut, and suddenly I was standing in the only circle of light on Raven's Peak, every shadow holding its breath, just watching what came next. That floodlight, I swear it cut through the dark like a supernova, pinning Lorraine Apprentice right up against my front porch like some rare bug under glass. She didn't look like she belonged in the woods. Hell, she looked like she'd never even lost cell signal before, much less got dirt on a suit that probably cost more than my truck. Now, Lorraine wasn't the type to go quietly, but the door she was beating on, that wasn't just any door. The biometric scanner flashed red, mean as a warning shot, the kind of thing you see in movies, not mountain cabins. And then that voice, the one I programmed myself, came on cold as the grave alert. Biometric match confirmed. Identity Lorraine Apprentice. Level 5 intruder. Law enforcement dispatched. You could hear her scream echo down the whole valley, but it didn't matter. Sirens started clawing their way up the road before she even hit the deck. Sheriff Elias showed up, confused, cautious hand on his holster. He took one look at Lorraine, then one at me, then at the porch, all lit up like a crime scene. Lorraine was shrieking about weapons, military hardware, calling me insane. I just stood in the doorway, coffee mug in hand, like none of this was new. Sheriff, I said, cool and easy, she isn't a victim. She's data, and she just authorized her own downfall. But let's back up, because 72 hours before all hell broke loose, Raven's Peak was nothing but silence and wind. You don't buy that kind of quiet, you hunt it down, and you hang on for dear life. The place was a fortress, stone and timber, meant to outlast any storm. I didn't care about the view, I cared about what people hide in places no one looks. My boots hit the gravel for the first time in years, dust rising up, and right away I was checking sight lines, not water pressure. Pulled out my gear, scanning for anything electronic, any sign this wasn't just some abandoned getaway the marshals had seized and sold off the books. The inside empty, except for a patch of clean wood in the center of the floor, like something heavy had been moved fast. The lock on the door had been drilled out, which told me someone wanted in badly or wanted something out even more. No utilities, no lights, but there was a generator out back. I was elbows deep in the thing when that white SUV rolled up spotless, crawling up the mountain like it was allergic to dirt. That's how Lorraine made her entrance heels, in the mud blue suit, pressed blonde hair, set like armor. She came at me with a tablet and a mouth full of regulations. You're late, she said. You owe the board a master key, emergency access and compliance inspections, regulation 4.2. She didn't just want to meet the new neighbor. She wanted control, wanted leverage. Told me flat out that if I didn't hand over a key, the mountains could be a lonely place. I looked at her, saw the fear behind all that arrogance. I told her, this property isn't in your HOA. You can't take what's not yours. She didn't like that. Wrote down my plates, gave me 24 hours to comply, and drove off into the dark. But see, people don't demand keys to empty cabins unless they're scared of what's inside or what someone else might find. That's when I unpacked the real hardware, a biometric sentinel system, military grade, meant to keep eyes in as much as out. I found a bug in the door frame, ancient wired, left behind like a rotten tooth. I left it for now. Sometimes it's good to let people think you're deaf when you're really listening for the right noise. Night fell. The air dropped 20 degrees. The mountain got mean, and I wired the house to listen and watch. Downloaded Lorraine's face off the HOA's own website, tagged her level 5 threat-activated countermeasures. The next morning, the siege started. No water, no power, neon orange violation notices plastered to my windows, fines for everything from aesthetic disharmony, black truck, to unauthorized security modification. They locked out my water, tried to starve me out. But I'd already found the old cistern, a 10,000-gallon tank buried in the dirt, forgotten by the new order. By noon, my taps were running cold and clear off Lorraine's grid. Then came the email, remove the lock, deliver a physical key to the HOA by 5 p.m., or we start lien proceedings. Bluff, all of it, but it reeked of desperation. Why did she need that key so bad? I replied, try it. Then I connected the Sentinel to everything, lights, cameras, PA, changed the game. That night I turned the place dark, watched through 3 monitors. At 2:14 a.m. she came, Lorraine plus a locksmith, boots on, looking to drill out my lock. She whispered, just do it. Say it's an emergency gas leak. The guy hesitated. This isn't standard. She didn't care. I'll pay for the door, just get inside before he starts tearing up the floorboards. She said too much. I watched, waited for her face to hit the camera's focal point, and when it did, I hit execute. The whole world exploded into light. The PA boomed, intruder detected, law enforcement dispatched. The locksmith bolted. Lorraine, blinded, dialed 911 trying to frame me for assault, crying wolf so loud she forgot to run. Sheriff Elias showed up fast. Lorraine tried to spin her story, gas leaks, assault, all of it. I just handed Elias the evidence, video, audio, timestamps, everything. The moment Lorraine realized she was caught on camera, caught admitting what she was really after, her whole world collapsed. She tried to claw her way out, but the sheriff wasn't buying it. I showed him the logs, encrypted packets leaving the cabin same time every night for years. A hidden server tucked beneath the floor storing ledgers, shell accounts, the receipts for every crime she ever hid behind a clipboard and a rulebook. We pried up the boards, found the cases, millions laundered through fake HOA fees, road repairs, all of it. Lorraine was finished. She tried to grab the hard drive, screaming, "That belongs to the community." Sheriff cuffed her, read her rights, dragged her outside. She looked at me, eyes full of hate and panic. "Who are you?" she spat. So I showed her my badge. Not the sheriff's, a Gold 1 state task force. I'm a forensic auditor, Lorraine. I didn't buy this house to live in it. I bought it because you left a trail only someone desperate would follow, and you handed me the keys yourself. I watched as the cruiser rolled away the mountain, silent and clean for the first time since I got there. The next days, the mountain was a beehive, investigators everywhere, neighbors coming by, finally breathing free. Henderson from parcel 802 fined $6,000 for a woodpile, walked up and just asked, "Is it true?" She's gone. Folks who'd been threatened for curtain colors, emergency assessments, all those stupid rules, now realizing they'd been bullied, not governed. The money in the Caymans is coming home, I told them. The HOA's done. Regulations are suspended. The board's history. I didn't plan to stay. Once the puzzle was solved, the house was just a house again. I wiped the Sentinel, unhooked every wire, replaced the lock with a plain old deadbolt, held up the brass key, turned to the neighbors and said, "Lorraine thought this was power. But a key, it's just a tool. Maybe now you use this place for something real, a meeting place, not a stronghold." I handed it to Henderson. "State'll auction it off someday. Until then, you all paid for it 10 times over." I packed up one last look at the valley, the sun setting purple and gold, rolled down the window, grinned at Henderson, changed the locks. "And if anyone asks for a copy, tell them to get a warrant." Drove off feeling lighter than I had in years. Lorraine was in a cell learning orange is the new blue. The balance restored. Justice, real justice done in wood, stone, and light. You know, there's a lesson here. Sometimes power looks like paperwork. Sometimes it looks like fear. But in the end, the truth comes out and the locks always change hands. So here's a question for you. Where's the line between keeping order and abusing power? What would you have done, turned over the key or fought back? I'd love to hear your stories. Drop your thoughts down below. Let's talk about what justice really means in a world full of keys and closed doors. And hey, if you stuck around for this ride, share your own run-ins with power or that time you saw karma show up late but loud. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next mountain. There's always another lock, another secret, another case to crack. Keep your doors sharp.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.